There's another comment in the chat. That's what I'm saying. Just play the next day when he originally wanted to. I want to flip my desk, but I can't. It's up against the wall. The reason people wanted to play July 14th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 Pacific, is because that's when the game was supposed to fucking launch. We didn't want to just randomly play at that date and time. That's when the game was supposed to come out. That's why we wanted to play at that time.
I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed a pattern in the Halo community recently, and I don't like it. For some reason, Halo YouTubers are, well, how do I put this? They're fucking idiots. I mean, I found a video where someone said crossplay is bad for Halo. Like, I don't even know how someone could even come to that conclusion, and I thought it couldn't get worse, but Halo 3 launched early. And Halo YouTubers are somehow angry about it. I just cannot understand these people. Pretty much everyone, thankfully, disagrees with these morons, but for some reason they keep on calling their fans degenerates for disagreeing with them.
You don't understand how people could be frustrated by that? People take off of work. They plan for this shit because they want to play the game right when it drops. You don't understand how people wouldn't like them releasing the game unexpectedly early? What the fuck is wrong with you? And then there were even more brain dead replies on this tweet Arash put out saying apparently H3 is out. I don't know why 343 has a dying hatred of actually sticking to release times.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't quite think that is a very good way to win people over to your side of the argument, which, let's face it, doesn't have any valid arguments. These YouTubers also seem to think that they aren't the only ones angry about this.
For those of you who don't know, they shadow dropped Halo 3 on PC last night. And some people were frustrated by this.
And I mean, they clearly are the only ones angry about this. As I showed earlier, that like to dislike ratio is looking kinda bad. Now there's one particular channel which has been getting a lot of backlash from his rant video, but instead of taking the huge amount of criticism that he received from that video, he decided to make a response video where he double downs on all of his arguments for the first 10 minutes or so.
I think a lot of people misunderstood where I was coming from and misinterpreted what I was saying.
The guy very obviously just does this so he can get some extra likes, since about 10 minutes into his video the entire mood suddenly changes into him yet again having a man-child tantrum. This absolute egotistical fuck is now dodging criticism because he thinks that people, when they see a high like to dislike number, just dislike to get it higher and not because they don't like the video.
Now my video is currently sitting at 430 dislikes with only 102 likes. Now, to be fair, I think a lot of this is just because people see that the like to dislike ratio is really bad and people just want to pile on to the dislikes just to make it worse than it is. But I'm not denying the fact that a lot of people had a problem with this video.
I'm not denying that a lot of people didn't like my video, but I quite literally denied it 2 seconds ago. How bloody unself-aware do you have to be to record that section, edit it, and then not realize how stupid and hypocritical you are? Pseudo-logic wins nobody over, but you seem to love it so much. I cannot tell if this guy is either just way too stupid to understand how unself-aware he is, or if he's just plain out ignorant.
I'm just saying that it's pretty common for people to contribute to the dislikes when they see it's really bad.
Nobody does that, and I mean literally nobody. Stop trying to dodge the criticism you are receiving and take it like a fucking man instead of bitching about people legitimately criticizing you for making such a beyond brain dead debate, if you can even call it that, because frankly this is something which just isn't up for debate. Nobody is negatively affected by a video game releasing early. Talking out of your ass like this does nothing in your favor. All you have to do is grow some balls and own up to the fact that you are in the wrong, and it isn't like this isn't obvious. It is very fucking obvious you are in the wrong and are complaining about nothing remotely important in both your videos on this topic.
But for sure, people definitely had a problem with this video. But like I said, I think they misunderstood where I was coming from.
Jesus fucking Christ. Not a single person who watched that terrible video quote unquote misinterpreted it. Your video was simply extremely retarded. My autistic looking ass is less retarded than what you were trying to argue in that video. Also, even if you were saying anything close to realistic or anything close to something which makes sense, you still would have received the same insane amount of hate because of the way you instantly handled all criticism. Oh, you don't agree with me, so you must be brain dead then. In all honesty, the only brain dead person in this situation is you and your fuck buddies who agree with you. I mean, in a very basic sense, the reason people have a problem with these two videos is because they fully understand what you were saying.
And some people I think agreed with what I was saying.
Yes, all 165 people out of the 14,000 viewers agree with you. Congratulations, sir, you obviously have a lot of people who agree with you. Also, of course there are going to be people who agree with you. I mean, there were idiots who agreed with Hitler, so it's not absurd to assume some idiots would agree with you.
They just have to find something wrong with it because they want to complain.
I just don't fucking get it. How can you be this unself-aware? This is genuinely triggering me now. How the fuck are you this unself-aware? Like, how? You were literally complaining that you can't play a game as soon as it drops, which is just pathetic as fuck. But then, if we add on to the fact that it isn't even delayed, it was released early, it makes it even more fucking pathetic, because you can still play the game when you originally planned to, and it isn't even like you'll miss out on anything, because the only thing you can unlock from playing Halo more is cosmetics, which aren't even that amazing in the first place. My brain simply cannot comprehend how unself-aware people like this are.
But that is a thing. You want to play the game as soon as it launches. Now, some people will say, oh, who cares if you didn't get to play the second the game went live? The game's not going anywhere. You could play it at any time. It's the same game. Doesn't matter when you play it. It's not a big deal. And yeah, sure, that may all be true. Yeah, the game isn't going anywhere. It's going to be the same game no matter what time you play it. But the point is, some people wanted to play at launch. There's nothing wrong with wanting to play as soon as the game launched.
So you admit that your argument is beyond idiotic. Of course people want to play the game as soon as it launches, but as you said yourself, it really doesn't matter when you play it because you aren't missing out on anything if you play it later than someone else. Your entire argument is basically, but mommy said it was my turn on the Xbox. Like, shut the fuck up and grow the fuck up, you sad man. It is not a big deal that you cannot play the game as soon as it drops, which I don't think is technically possible, thanks to the fact you would have to download the game after it launched instead of pre-downloading it, since it is labeled as a DLC on Steam, and from what I can tell, you couldn't pre-download it. Also, just leave your computer on and use the Steam app to download the game whilst you are at work. This only benefits you, so I cannot grasp your argument here.
And some people planned ahead and cleared their schedules so they would be able to play Halo 3 on PC as soon as 343 dropped it. People took off of work for this and took care of other things in their lives so they would be free when Halo 3 launched on PC.
You can still play when you plan to. Getting mad over a delay is, in my opinion, pathetic and stupid because it means you should in the end get a better product, but it's somewhat understandable since you cannot play the game when you plan to. However, getting mad over an early release is bafflingly idiotic because you can still play the game when you initially planned to play it, and getting mad over a delay is still ignorant and idiotic as well because they usually announce these games are delayed months before it should have originally launched, so you can move your day off to the game's new release date.
I seen some 343 devs like and retweet these posts roughly a day or maybe even a couple hours before they ended up shadow dropping the game, so that was very misleading.
I guess that makes CD Projekt Red the most misleading game developer on the planet since they've delayed Cyberpunk 2077 so many times now. What 343 has done is not misleading in a negative way, it is misleading in a good way for everybody. They like to retweet those tweets to build up hype to a climax, and then to create almost universal praise and to create almost universal excitement, they drop the game early. This is such a simple business move that for some reason you view it as a bad thing because you can't play as soon as it drops, which makes no sense because there is zero advantage to doing so. And it also makes no sense because you can still fucking play the game when you originally planned to. Now, in no video past this point, he basically just continues to repeat his degenerate arguments over and over, but he decided to come up with horrifically bad analogies later on in the video, so let's torture ourselves and watch this shit show.
Like, let's say you're invited to a party. You're invited to a party at 7 p.m. You stayed up all night the night before. You want to get some rest before the party. So you sleep during the day and you wake up at 5 p.m., 2 hours before the party, and that just to find out that the person hosting the party changed the time to 1 p.m. earlier in the day. You were sleeping. Now, yeah, you could still go to the party, but maybe you wanted to be there right when it started. Why would you want to go right when the party? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's missing the point. You wanted to go right when it started. Maybe all your friends already went. All your friends went at 1 p.m. when the party started, right? And then they left. You can still go, but now you can't enjoy the party with your friends.
The party analogy just doesn't work, my guy. A party won't suddenly change their timings because they need to speed up the setup of a said party. And before your dumbass tries to say the same thing would apply to releasing a game, no it wouldn't, because you already have the game fully developed and ready to go on that day. All the developer has to do is change the release date, whereas changing the time of a party will require everything to do with the party to also be changed. It also is a bad analogy simply due to the fact that a party doesn't last forever like a video game does, and you can miss the party, you cannot miss the video game unless something terrible happens like Activision and Marvel refusing to redo the contract for the Deadpool game, which caused it to practically go extinct, and that wouldn't happen in this context either because we are talking about the day the game released. And the friends argument is also stupid because if you've already agreed to play Halo 3 at 1 p.m. Eastern time like you guys have, then you can still clearly all play at that time, because that's when you all had already set up the time to play with each other. So in short, once again, you were talking out your ass and your analogy is complete dog shit.
So let's say you plan a week-long vacation for you and your family. You plan a cruise, okay? And there's a set date and a set time that you're going to board the cruise, okay? And let's say the terminal where you got to go to board the cruise is like 3 hours away, right? And it's the night before. Tomorrow, you're going to the terminal, you're boarding the cruise, and there you go, right? It's the night before, you have all your shit packed, you're ready to go to sleep, you're going to wake up early, get to the terminal 2 hours before boarding, and yeah, that's the plan, right? And then all of a sudden, the cruise line comes out and says, we're boarding now. We're boarding right now. Oh, that's a good thing because it's early? Oh, it's early. That's a good thing.
The analogy of the cruise is just really bad, though. That really speaks to the...
People, this really affects them. 343. Never. The analogy of the cruise was bad. That's how I know you misinterpret it. Because you keep talking about the cruise. It's not about the fucking cruise. It has nothing to do with a cruise. I saw a fucking boat and I just said cruise. It's about the time being changed at such a short notice, no warning, unexpectedly. And I'm saying people can be frustrated by that. You know my position.
Listen,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
Nobody's saying it is about the cruise. You use the cruise as an analogy, which is again a very, very, very shitty comparison, because if a cruise departed early, then that cruise wouldn't be there when you got to the terminal. But if a game released early, it is still there to play when you were originally going to be there to play it. So the comparison makes zero sense, because from a really basic perspective, it is incredibly flawed, which is why the guy is bringing it up to mock you. Also, if you just happen to use a cruise as an example because you saw a boat on your screen, I just want to ask you one thing. Why the fuck was there a cruise on your screen when you were recording a video and recording audio? Because last time I checked Audacity, Sony Vegas and Adobe don't have random cruises in them. I also love the fact that you are acting like this is a huge inconvenience for you when you yourself said you took the whole day off so you got to play the game when it shadow dropped.
But yeah, even though I was off work on Tuesday, I still wasn't prepared for them to shadow drop the game.
Honestly, this whole situation must be really embarrassing for the guy, and I have zero sympathy for him because of how much of a dick he is being to his own subscribers.
Nope, it's 5.
Your analogies are terrible, and your point's terrible. I'm not going to say you're a terrible person because I don't know you, but your opinion on this is pretty bad, brother.
Nope. My analogies are terrible. My point is terrible. So you're not going to say I'm a terrible person because you don't know me? But yet, You called me an ungrateful little prick at the beginning of the video without knowing me? I mean, you know me more now than you did when you saw the fucking Twitter clip.
The funniest part of this is that the guy who was angry in that clip was the one who posted the 40-second clip which the streamer originally watched. Also, he's calling you an ungrateful prick because that is exactly how you were acting in this entire situation.
I don't think many people this upset. See, that's the thing. I'm not that upset. That's just how I talk.
For someone who is claiming they aren't mad, you sure as hell seem to be losing your shit in your video.
I look at every side. I'm unbiased. I form my opinions using logic and reasoning.